I'm Ed Hood. I practice in Denham Springs, Louisiana, a little small town outside of Baton Rouge. So I'm a hometown boy. I grew up here. I love my hometown. This is the greatest place on earth for me. My journey till even now, my goal has always been just to really be as good as I can be as a dentist, but my practice to be as good as it could be. 1990, we started that little 3-out practice. 12 years later, I built my first office. And in those 12 years, it was a slow crawl. And I was having fun. I was enjoying doing dentistry. I just was dying because I wasn't making any money. After 2012, 2013, hygiene had kind of stagnated a little bit. And so we decided to join team training in January. And I think the first month we did 30,000 more in hygiene than what we had been doing. Wendy's a wealth of information in hygiene that I don't know anybody and the team that she has around her, I tell people all the time, she's the preeminent hygiene coach in the country, bar none. Dr. John, his greatest skill in my mind is being able to dissect what goes on in an office, pare it down to its base elements, and be able to teach that to somebody else. A lot of people know how to do things, but being able to communicate to you how you could do it is another whole animal. And he and Wendy both are really, really good communicators. Wendy's impact on my practice in hygiene is identical to the impact that Dr. John has been to me. And to me, that's why I chose team training. It's that having both aspects of the practice. When I started with hygiene and I knew the bump that I got with it, I wanted to seek out that same thing in restorative. But as a team, the two of them, to be able to go in and literally overhaul, I don't know any other consulting group out there that does that. Our growth from the time we started with team training in 2013 to the middle, or what we were on pace to do in 2016, was easily probably 60% growth in the practice. So in 2016, we were having a great year. In fact, we were on pace to do numbers that we really only kind of dreamed about. And we had a little incident. We had a flood.
Once again, the unprecedented flood catastrophe in Louisiana.
13 people are now confirmed dead in what officials are calling the most destructive natural disaster since Superstorm Sandy.
110,000 homes in the flood zone.
As of right now, there have been more than 20,000 people rescued from their homes.
The deadly floodwaters submerged entire communities.
Powerful before and after images of schools and neighborhoods are emerging.
Rainstorm literally just set over Denham Springs and the areas north of here. We wound up having 30 inches of water in my office. I had 5.5 feet of water in my house. And then my dad's house that had been here since 1952, we wound up having, that I grew up in, wound up having to tear it down and haul it off, and literally overnight lost everything I had. I would be lying if I said I didn't have a few nights that I cried to myself in a bed. And here I'm worried about staff and how am I going to pay staff, but how am I going to get my office put back together? And so it's getting contractors and getting people to help you take everything that you own, all the furniture, and put it out on the street, and all the equipment at the office. It was a lot. And so, you know, I literally lost about $1.5 million overnight. And to me, worse than that was the 12 people that I lost that I had really invested a lot of time and training, and they'd been to courses with us, and trying to hire new people that now don't know anything, and you're already limping along. You know, out of every great adversity, there's a great opportunity. For me, the fact that I had 30 people that were without a job, and some of their houses flooded, and you know, that's the part that rips your heart out. You know, I lost 13 of my staff out of 34. It was the training and all the time and the relationships with those people. You know, they say rip a Band-Aid off, but that's a pretty big Band-Aid when 13 leave at one time.
To have, I guess, a boss who cares more about his employees than himself. And the reason why you're there and you've got back there is because of your personal strength and optimism. So lesson number one is the leader is an optimist. He sees the brighter and bigger future always.
Because of our association with John and Wendy and the profitable 2 years that we had, getting our systems in place, getting our profitability up, the vision day that we had, because of those things with John and Wendy, it allowed us to really weather the storm, literally. I've told Dr. John and Wendy plenty of times that they've been a godsend to me. Since the flood, and despite the flood, the Denham Springs office, you can't tell anything ever happened to it. It's nicer than it's ever been. We have added 2 other locations, and in the process of building a 4th location. We went from 28 staff and lost 12 of those, so we only had 16 that stayed. And I think right now we have 60 employees. Where we started with team training, we're literally 2.5 times production, what we started with, and probably, I'm almost embarrassed to say, but probably 5 times the profitability that we started, maybe more than 5. Because when I started with team training, having 2 locations, are now 3, and I'm in the process of building number 4. That was not on the radar. And so it was having access to their expertise that allowed me to have the confidence to do the things that I've done. I don't think there's anybody else in the country better at helping you achieve your goals and get to that place that you want to be. If you're not there, they can help you achieve those goals. To me, there's nobody better in the country than team training, Dr. John and Wendy Briggs, to do that.